Welcome to the Live It Right podcast, hosted by John and Caitlin Lindsay. We're going to be talking all things health and wellness, from food, fitness, relationships. So if you want to live your best life and live it right, join us for this conversation.
So whether you're a health enthusiast, a busy professional, or someone looking to achieve a more fulfilling life, you're in the right place. Tune in, subscribe, and join our community as we explore the path to living it right.
Let's go.
Welcome back to the Live It Right podcast. We are on episode 35 and thought this would be a good topic today because we are currently in complete opposite training schedules at the time. So today we are diving into like optimal key training blocks and the complete opposite of deloading. So I'm actually on my last day of a deload week today, right now. And John is wrapping up.
I pretty much just wrapped up the biggest block of training the last 5 to 6 weeks of really hard, high volume trail running training because I have a 50-mile trail run race in a little less than 2 weeks. And so the taper for that, I'll start deloading here pretty soon in the next couple days.
Yeah.
But
we thought we would just give you a little insight as to how those, it's not just physical and not just the training aspect, but like the mental pieces of it and kind of what we've been going through.
How you deal with them and the learning lessons you get out of
I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
So let's kick things off with you because you've got a race in 2 weeks from yesterday.
Yep.
And it's 50 miler with how much elevation is this?
Over 10,000. So I think it's about 10,500.
So since we did a podcast on your first 100K, which is just over 60 miles, is this one going to be more challenging as far as elevation or equal, or kind of like where's that at?
This one has, I think, right about the same amount of total elevation in 12 less miles.
Okay.
So it is going to be
a bit more,
a little harder hitting, but I mean, less mileage is nice. But I mean, my biggest takeaway from that race, as we mentioned on the recap here, I just didn't feel mentally tough enough. And I think I didn't feel mentally tough enough because I hadn't done enough like I hadn't done enough. I did a little bit of high volume training, but to be really comfortable, I mean, I'm more comfortable now, I think, for sure. But I mean, you need years of just like monster long runs throughout the year just to build that mental strength of like, yeah, I'm sore, so what? Let's go. Like, let's keep it at 100%, not drop it to 70% and putts to the finish line. Like, let's push ourselves. So
before you like elaborate on this, I kind of want to just like give context from someone who's like not an ultra runner and like understanding. So, you know, in Ironman, in half Ironman, in marathons, well, marathons are actually different. I think you can have headphones in most normal races. You can't in Ironmans. But like, think about, you know, you're looking at, I don't know, 3-4 hours. I mean, what, like an average person's marathon, like 4 or 5 maybe. You're looking at more than double being alone, out in the wilderness, and it's technical. Like you can't mentally check out. You can't because there's technicality, there's climbing, there's descending, there's roots.
There's some stimulus getting thrown at you that. I mean, I do listen to podcasts and stuff, especially on these really long training runs, but I mean, you have to, you're not on a sidewalk. You're not on a track. You have to be paying attention to every step you're taking. And it's,
I mean, if you've been here long enough, I'm wordy. Basically, it is mental toughness on a completely different level than I had ever even experienced. And this is me watching from the outside. So like, that was your biggest challenge. That was one of your biggest takeaways in your first race. What have you done over the last 5, 6, especially in this key training block? What have you done to train yourself mentally beyond just the physical to prepare for this?
I mean, they're one and the same, I think. I say I wasn't mentally tough enough, but I needed to do training runs that were like races more to where you get to that, you know, you're 3 hours in and your legs are sore as shit and you're like, all right, I can dial this back and just give half-ass the effort and I can still get the mileage, but it's like, hey, let's keep pushing it to this. Let's push it to this higher click. Let's, sprint to the finish line. Let's not putts to the finish line. So, with that, you deal with negative self-talk when you're at that 3 hour mark, that 4 hour mark of like, well, we should probably scale it back just to be safe. Like you start getting all these reasons in your head of why you need to scale it back. Oh, we're getting to this trail intersection. I could cut it short and get back to the car faster. Like you start thinking of reasons why to do that. And I would say, since that run, which was in November, took a little bit of a break right after 2 weeks maybe of kind of deload, and then right back into training. And the training, just the volume of it's just gotten higher and higher. And so the last 6 weeks I've done at least a 4 hour single run, plus some other training runs as well, but at least one 4 hour or more run each week. And another run was over 8 hours. Another run was over 6. And all those runs had serious elevation in them. And, I never once was like, there's moments where you're like, this sucks, but I was never once like, all right, how can I shortcut this? Oh, I should scale back my pace. It was like, I just felt tougher and tougher every time I went out there. Like, was it completely exhausting and fatiguing? Yes, definitely. But it was the proper way to build up, not just getting physically stronger and getting those adaptations, but kind of callousing the mind and building the mental strength to be like, okay, I got this. Like, if negative self-talk would even creep in, like the one instance I can kind of remember was I took a wrong turn on a route and I went like really downhill for like a quarter mile. And during that quarter mile, I was like, oh, sweet, I'm kind of getting my legs back. Like, this is easy. And then it kept going down. And just given where I was like, oh, no, this can't be right. I wouldn't be descending this much. And so pulled up my phone, looked at the map, and I was like, shit. And for like 5 seconds, it was a long 5 seconds, I was just kind of down in the dumps. But I was like, flipped the switch and was like, dude, you're still going to finish. So shut the fuck up and keep going. Like I dwelled on it for just such minimal amount of time that it was like, and then, a couple minutes after that, I was like, hell yeah, like almost patting myself on the back of the way I reacted to that little bit of negativity that got tossed my way. So, high volume training, I knew that's what I needed. And I'm excited to see how well that pays off. And I think it's going to be, yes, you create physical adaptations, no doubt, but that what you're also doing is you're mentally just getting tougher, especially being alone. Like I'm excited.
I was going to say that.
This race, I should be running with people every now and then at least, and that is a nice bump. And there's no pacers in this race, so like that was the bummer. The other bummer in the 100K was
I could have paced you.
Yeah, I didn't have a pacer. I should have had a pacer. And so once we got to that pacer point, which was like mile 35, most runners kind of got coupled up and had their friend. And so I don't think I really talked to anyone after that, which that just makes the time go by faster when you have a little like casual combo every now and then.
And think like, so for those of you who may have never even touched ultras or like maybe go on like group runs, like having a pacer isn't necessarily for pacing. It's for mental.
It's a positive distraction.
Right,
really.
right. I mean, some people actually use them for pacing purposes,
yeah,
but like
higher level people, definitely. And I mean, just it, especially if someone knows you well, it's probably nice to be like, hey, I know you can push this a little bit more, but it's just a positive distraction, it seems like. So,
well, hearing conversations between you and like, we have a friend here who's been in the ultra world longer. He's been talking about like just the mental aspect of not putzing in. Here's the thing. When you're running 50 miles, it is very hard unless you've done numerous races and know how to like read maps and elevation and understanding what your body's capable of and how to adjust. It's not like pacing for a half marathon. Like where you can watch your heart rate and like know what your body's capable of. This is like a completely like, if he were to gas himself in the first 10 miles, you're screwed. There's a lot more, like my mind was blown just listening to y'all talk about how like even this tiniest bit of strategy even works.
It's also, I mean, to that point too, you're just the way your legs feels kind of comes in waves too, because you can climb for an hour and then that initial time you start descending, you're switching these energy systems and the way you're using your legs. And it feels weird at first. And you're like, oh shit, I have all this fatigue in my legs. But you almost have to force it. Like, all right, come on, we're going downhill. Like, use gravity, like get those legs loose, feel loose. You almost have to force that, because then you kind of open the door to like, all right, I got my legs back. I'm good. So that's stuff I'm still becoming aware of and recognizing when I run. But it's easy to get caught up in moments of like, oh, my legs are heavy as shit. Like I should just chill and putts. But it's, you get on a flat, you get on a descent, let that terrain dictate what you're going to do and be like, okay, it's flat for a little bit. It's downhill. I got to push it a little bit. And then once you kind of get into the groove there, because you've been in the groove of climbing, so just switching what you're doing, it takes a bit for especially if you're tired and fatigued, it takes a bit for your muscles and everything that's involved in carrying you to kind of switch over to like, all right, we're doing a slightly easier modality. And, it might be a minute, 2 minutes into that. Okay, now it actually feels easier. My legs, that lactic acid's been flushed out a little bit. Yeah. Like I got better blood flowing, like my breath is better, whatever it is. Like you almost have to force it until you get into it. So,
well, and the other layer that he hasn't even talked about is like you also have to layer in the nutrition piece of it, because and watching like, so you've been doing some gut training. He's been doing, I'll let you talk about what you've been fueling with, but like even watching and like, if the nutrition's not going in, your body's going to start tanking. So like there are certain things, there's just a lot that goes into, it's not even just mental, it's also taking care of yourself physically as you've increased. So what have you done differently with these longer days and longer trainings? He's not popping Bobos and PB&Js anymore. Like,
yeah, I didn't feel too bad on the 100K. I don't think my nutrition certainly wasn't dialed, but it wasn't as dire as I heard other people suggest. Mm-hmm. But I've realized like I'm not going to eat real food. Like real food you can tell the deeper you get in, the longer it takes real food to digest. And especially if you're trying to eat on the go, it's just harder. It's harder to chew. It's harder
100%.
When you can take a gel that's 50 grams of carbs and get it down in less than 10 seconds, probably way less than 10 seconds. Like you get in a groove of that. Like it's one less variable you have to worry about. And that allows you to be mentally tougher because you're not suffering hunger pains. You're not getting stomach cramps. So if you find a gel that works for you, like it just works really well. So, every long run I've done, even these 6+ hours, the 8+ hours, it's all been fueled strictly by gels and maple syrup. And so it's stuff that's easily digestible, get it in. And a funny mistake I can't believe I made in that 100K is like I wear a pack that has like some pockets right on the straps. And for some reason, I stupidly would only keep like one gel there and the rest were inside the pack. So like, I can remember at least 2 or 3 times I'd have to physically stop, even though I had the gel or even a Bobo, whatever it was I was eating, I'd have to stop, take my, like the most rookie mistake. So I keep everything readily available. And I've always had a pretty good stomach for stuff. So, I'm pretty confident that just fueling with the gels will be great for me. I think one beauty of the race structure is like you will stop by aid stations that'll have a variety of food. So for some reason you've got palate fatigue from the gel you're using, like maybe there's an option that just speaks to you when you get there, and that can help. But yeah, I've really been training with gels, and I think it's great. And the biggest thing is it takes out that variable of one, chewing, worrying about what you're going to fuel with, the risk of getting like stomach cramps. And that allows you to just keep your mental toughness just on moving forward. Well,
and again, if you've never done long distance running, he mentioned not even thinking about chewing. I didn't know this was a thing, but it is, I don't know what the correct term is, but there's a point a lot of times when these runners' bodies are so fatigued, the thought of chewing just sounds absolutely miserable. So being able to put something in that literally can technically like slide down your throat, you just have to swallow, is a lot easier. But and when he says maple syrup, so he found these things off Amazon. They're like little mini water bottles, like they're squeezable, and it's just he puts in mostly maple syrup, dilutes it with water. And did you say you add salt?
It's basically 75 to 80 grams maple syrup.
Yeah.
Tiny bit of water just to make it a little more fluid, get down faster. And then, I put in a serving of Redmond salt.
Just the regular sea salt.
In there. So it's a salty maple flavor. Very tasty. And it's nice because it's just like, typically I'll go over the course of like a 5-minute span, I'll squirt it 3 times and it'll be done.
Yeah.
And it's very palatable and it's good. And I mean, the main reason I added the salt was actually one mistake on one of these bigger training runs I did was I just completely forgot. I didn't have my pack because normally I'd roll with a 2 liter water reservoir on my back, and I ran with a bottle because I knew I was going to hit a bunch of stops where I could just stop, but I forgot extra electrolyte packets, and I was cramping like crazy. And it was like luckily it was this was just right at a 4-hour run, but at like 3.5 hour mark, like if you've ever had cramps before, once they kind of start getting in you, like they don't stop. And like right at like the 3:58 mark or something, like I just had the most gnarly.
Oh, you were up the street.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
right.
they were all over. They were in my abdomen, my hamstrings, my quads, like all over. And it was clearly a lack of electrolytes, like it really was. So.
When I remember in your last race too, you almost had like an aversion to the electrolyte, the flavored electrolyte, because he consumed so much water with electrolytes in there. The flavoring, it was just like he got like an aversion to it. So putting actual just salt in there just helps.
Yeah, that's why I like the salt in the maple. Like it's just an easier way to get it in. But I'm definitely a heavy sweater, and so now since that run was like a month ago. Very big on, I don't know if I'm over electrolyting, but I'm just very conscious I've got the salt in the maple syrup. I've got Redmond Relight, their electrolyte blend in my bladder. And then I have extras on. I think I even actually have, as like an emergency, have the Redmond capsules too.
Oh yeah. Those are,
in case I feel like now you can kind of feel those like minor cramps starting to creep in. They're nothing serious, but you ever feel that like you take a step or something, or you turn your body and your abdomen kind of gets like, I could feel a cramp coming on in like 20 minutes. Like you can just start to recognize signs. So I think fueling, I think I have a very good handle on fueling and hydration, and I just have to make sure I pack accordingly, and I think it'll be fine. And so as long as I have that dialed, like I can allow my mental strength to just be like, yeah, we're working hard, this sucks, but whatever, we're gonna get through it. So, and
it's funny that like you haven't even really talked about physical preparation. I mean, you've put in the work, but like it's just volume, but it's more so mental than anything.
I get fixated on the mental part of it, but you have to do the physical stuff.
Well, you are.
So your mind can get exposed to it, and then your mind can know what to do. They're one and the same. The body and mind are one and the same. So,
is there anything else that you are looking to dial in or want to mention as you head into?
Oh, I guess actually one more thing. I've also been taking in caffeine too. The last like 3 or 4 long runs I've done, and that's been I'd call it a game changer. The main reason is I'm used to having caffeine throughout the day. So it's honestly kind of crazy when you think about it, to go be incredibly physically active for a long period of time. And you're someone who's used to taking in 3 to 4 double shots of espresso throughout the day. And I might have one in the morning. And then sometimes I wouldn't have another one until I come back from like a 6+ hour run. And it's like, nah. So I've been taking...
caffeine gels.
Yeah, Pungal mostly. They're honey caffeinated gel, which has 100 milligrams of caffeine. I've been taking, like on the 6-hour run I did, I remember I took it at the probably 2.5 hour mark and the 4.5 hour mark. So 2 100 milligram. And that's great. Like it just keeps you dialed. And it's another thing that gives you... that like sluggishness or mental fog, something like that. It gives you that stimulus where you then don't have to waste mental strength on worrying about that variable. So,
well, because I had taken a mocha pot out with like a camping grill at his race and had made espresso if he wanted to just shoot it real quick. And he was like, the thought of drinking coffee right now is a big fat no. So like, yeah, getting that caffeine.
Yeah, the caffeine gels are incredible. Yeah. So yeah, I think at nutrition fueling, I think I got it pretty well dialed. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited, but I know you're a partner with Redmond, so we'll definitely link. Can't recommend Redmond electrolytes enough, and their salts, just add it to maple syrup, is a nice way to make a cheaper gel. So
I was gonna say, yeah, it's more affordable if you want to change up the taste, even the texture, because like some people have trouble with actual gels, like they make them actually I know people that have tried them, like they're like, I just cannot stomach them. That's another way. It's affordable. Who doesn't like maple syrup?
Yeah, I don't mind the taste of gels, but I like having the variety. Like it's nice to.
So you don't all of a sudden hate
flavor, yeah. And it's when you're doing these big training blocks too, like if you're just filling off gels, it's going to get pricey. So if you can, maple syrup is cheaper, so it is nice to save a little money there.
Yeah, I'll include that in the show notes for discount code if you want to try. Cool. So anything else you want to chat about before we go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum?
I don't think so, yeah. But now I'll probably be deloading to some extent here over the next 12-ish days. So why don't you tell me how it's done?
Oh, gosh. Well, first of all, when I open my phone and see a deload week, it's not something that I'm excited about. But I will tell you, I was trying to like reflect back on, so I've been working with my coach since June of last year. So after my very first half, which wasn't even a full half, because again, if you've listened along, I didn't get to swim. So I did my first full half in October. I cannot remember a deload the last time. Maybe it was because he was just priming my body. Like we hadn't worked together very long. This last week was the first time that I experienced like the full effects of a deload. If you're not familiar with like deloading, so obviously I'm swimming, biking, running. I am still working out every single day. I still got 3 swims in. I still got in the same number of bikes, the same number of runs. Volume was scaled back. Intensity was heavily scaled back. Like one of my bikes was basically just getting my legs moving. Like there was zero and like hardly any intensity. There was a 65-second push. But I think the biggest thing that I felt, I messaged him and I said, I almost feel like I'm getting sick, but I know I'm not getting sick. And it's like my body, he sent me a message actually just a bit earlier because I had sent him this long thing. And he said, often like our bodies are so used to just going mentally, physically, like us as like triathletes, endurance athletes are so used to constantly putting our body through training that when you actually like really scale back like this, your body almost like flatlines because it's like, oh, we can recover properly now, like fully.
It's just
recover.
shock. It's in shock.
It's in shock. I have felt very, very like out of it, not myself. I have followed the programming to a T. So you still work out, but it's like severely scaled back. But it has felt, it's weird because like when I opened up my phone and saw it, like the first initial thing is like, gosh darn it. And then like the second one is like, I don't feel like I need one. But then like literally 48 hours into it, I was like, oh my God, my body's like singing happy praises that it's slowing down. So I've taken this time to honestly really focus on work and other things outside of like when I'm not, the volume of training has scaled back. But the hardest thing for me, I think, is it was mentally challenging to me more than anything. Like, is it a shot on your ego to take a scale back? Yeah. I mean, like, it is kind of like hard to have to scale back and run super slow and like.
It's also the fun thing. I mean, you look forward to it during the day. Like, it's fun to go challenge yourself. So it's. But the mental deload workouts aren't a challenge.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me.
They are a challenge, but not a physical challenge.
It's mental. And like the other thing is like, I mean, I don't think this is a huge mistake, but like, I did not like dial in deloaded nutrition. I've been eating like I've still been training like crazy. I I mean, that's not like the end of the world, but like just, it's been more mental than anything. But I think a couple things that I've learned since working with Thomas since day one was one, I was starving myself. I mean, to put it a little harshly, I would like starve myself when I worked out. I was never fueling correctly. You know, he talked a lot about fueling.
Yeah, that's something we've both
100%.
gotten much better at, I think.
Yeah. I was not fueling correctly. I was not taking the time to take care of my body, as far as like recovery, things like that, from like really doing intense, long endurance training. We stretch every night. That helps. I've been trying to do some more mobility. I am still doing strength training. I did deload that. I did more so like a lot of body weight stuff.
Oh, you deloaded your strength workout this week too?
Yeah, I just, when my body has just been like actually appreciating the deload, I was like, I need to give it. I did not deload that workout with you, but like I actually did start to listen to my body a little bit more as the week went on. But you know, like I said, I've learned, but the other thing that I have learned since working with Thomas has been, I never gave myself that time to deload. Like when I was like training myself and like doing these things on my own, I never understood the importance. And like, it's this weird like sensation of feeling like my body has just this entire week told me thank you. Really, as weird as that sounds. And my body has been saying thank you for like giving me a chance to like repair itself. And then I'm going to get my tail kicked this week because I've got testing. But you know, for someone that really, really hates taking the foot off the gas pedal, it was very hard mentally. It was very good physically. I learned a lot.
With your swim, were you working on form and stuff and skill-based things, or was that just kind of like a...
So the main shift that I saw in my swimming was he gave me longer intervals. So it was the intensity was definitely less. So it was very easy, but it was really focusing on, because we've talked about this on a previous podcast. My form needed a lot of work.
That's what I was wondering, if this gave you a chance to really like
implement it.
It's slow enough to where you can really be mindful of form.
So when he has me doing long intervals, I've told him I've cognizantly like, you know, I've worn like, obviously I'm wearing goggles in there, but I've used like tools that allow me.
Snorkels and stuff?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know why I cannot think of it. I've worn a snorkel a lot, my choice, so that I'm not even dealing with having to, I'm watching every bit of my hand entry and pull. So I've been watching my stroke, so I've been working on really extending. I now could feel that, like, I put a note in there the other day. I realized, so I'm a right side breather. I am ambidextrous. I can do both, but naturally I'm a right side breather. That my left stroke, I am not extending my shoulder enough, that I was leaving about 2 inches wasted that I could have increased. Like, so little things like that I would never notice when I'm doing super high intensity zone 5. So
that's a benefit of deload then,
correct.
Where you're doing something that requires technique and mindfulness. When the intensity is too high, like it's just impossible to really pay attention to that. I mean, last week I actually had a deload of my one arm handstand work, which surprisingly gets pretty intense. And like the main thing I do is these working sets against the wall where I'm on one hand and the other hand is just assisting with fingertips. And I had been doing like anywhere between 6 and 7 sets of 30 seconds, which after like 2 or 3 sets, they get so fatiguing. It gets really hard to pay attention to form. And so last week I just had 2 sets, which was great because I really got to focus on my form. And this week coming off that, like I could tell I got a form bump out of it. Like I could tell there was something more dialed to it.
Yeah. So like selfishly, I'm anxious to see what next week looks like. So that was the swim. You brought up a very good point. So swim really got to dial in mentally, working through a lot of the form stuff. And I'm anxious. I'm going to a swim clinic. I'm anxious to see what he says, because he has not seen me swim in months, like in person. So I'm anxious to see what he says about my form.
Nice.
As far as running, something that I'm not one of those people that's very good about, as I mentioned earlier with Ironman, like triathlons, you can't have headphones. Like you can't be listening to music. Mm-hmm. I'm not good about going without that. This week I have tried really, like today, I had an hour and 20 minutes. I had nothing but my fueling and my water bottle with me. That was it. And I was able to think through just like, hey, you're probably not relaxing your shoulders enough on certain things. Like, I'm not taking in deep enough breaths. Like, it was such low intensity. I should be nasal breathing 85% of that. Like, it's that low.
Yeah.
So working on, how do my hips feel? How is my stride? Like, am I swinging my arms well? Like, am I keeping everything tight? Like, those are the things that when you're training really, really hard, I feel like one of the biggest things you miss out on is if you are not a professional who has all that dialed in, which I'm not. I have so many areas to improve that it gives me a chance with the low intensity to think about that. Like for anyone that bikes, another thing I noticed today is the lack of balance in my power pedal. So on my data, I can see the power is coming 48% from my left foot and 52. God, see, I'm a little jumbled in the brain this week. I did get a good education, sorry. But like 48 and 52, like trying to balance those out when, those are the things I could actually think about. Where is that imbalance coming from? Do I actually feel it when I'm taking the time to think through that? So it's all those little tiny details. When you're on a deload week, you get a chance to actually think through them because you're not going it hardcore, long training sessions. So that's probably the biggest takeaway that I had from all of it was just getting to dial in some stuff that kind of gets brushed under the rug when you're full throttle.
And that's on you or the person who has the deload week. Take it upon yourself to be like, all right, this is going to be zone 2 stuff, but how can I get a ton of benefit out of this? And it's like working on the form. I know you maybe do this too when you're deloading strength work. It's like, okay, let me prioritize range of motion, going slow, feeling the proper muscle activation. Same thing with mobility or skill work. It's like, pay attention to those really fine details, those nuanced things that when there's a little too much intensity, it's hard to pay attention to that. Because I think you really that stuff is going to carry over for you this coming week. And it'll be fun to see what you think about.
Yeah, I'll have to revisit
Maybe you'll be a fan of deload weeks.
Maybe I will. Yes, I got a few messages on Instagram. They're like, I love deload weeks. And I'm like, I don't.
I don't either. Yeah.
So, but, it was good for me mentally. It was good for me physically. It was good for me as a business owner to get to really lock in a little bit of a different way. And the last thing that I was doing, embarrassing, complete confession here. I picked up swimming. When did I get back in the pool? September or October of 2024?
I don't know.
I guess. It was right when we got back from Europe. So I guess that was September, October. Just started flip turning. So.
That's cool. Yeah. Adding skill. Yeah. Nice.
Because they always say on Instagram, you can always tell a real swimmer from a triathlete. And it's the people who flip turn versus touch the wall. Oh. So I've been flip turning. I don't know why I was scared of them for years and years after I did them as a kid for years. So, which actually does shave off quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
So, and keeps momentum going. So I'm anxious to see how that transitions into my training too. But yeah, enough rambling on that. I learned a lot. It was good. So I think we're about to kind of switch gears again. I'm going into testing week. He's going to start going into some deloading.
Yeah. The moral of the story is you can learn a lot during big block training and you can learn a lot during deload as well. It's all on your mindset. Suck out as much good things you can out of training and you'll just be better because of it. So yeah.
So I think that wraps up episode 35.
Yeah. Thanks as always for listening, and we'll be back. We always say this, but we're going to be more consistent. And
we'll be back. What are we talking about in the next?
We're going to do one on why you need to add balance into your training, and you're going to talk on...
I'm going to talk about easy on-the-go meals for when life gets crazy and just some benefits around that. So
look out for that episode dropping soon after this one.
yeah, we'll see you then.
See ya.